The great hall of the Interstellar Council was full that evening. Beings from dozens of worlds sat in high seats, their eyes glowing in the dim blue light. Conversations stopped when the heavy doors opened. A human walked in, tall though his hair had turned gray. He was known across galaxies as the commander who had fought battles no one else could win. Many whispered his name with respect, and some with fear. Now he was here for the last time. He had announced his retirement. Most expected he would ask for land or gold or even a starship. They imagined he would want power to keep influencing the galaxy. But the commander walked slowly to the center and stood tall. His voice was steady when he spoke. "My service ends today," he said. "I want no wealth, no throne, no monument. I ask only one thing. Send me one alien woman as my companion for my last years." The words echoed through the hall. Silence followed. Then came a wave of whispers. Alien voices clicked, hissed, and muttered in shock. Even the council members looked at one another in disbelief. One elder leaned forward. "You have fought for decades. You are honored among many species. And you ask, this? Why?" The commander's face did not change. His eyes were calm but heavy, as if carrying a secret weight. "Because I have seen too much death. Too many soldiers ended alone, with no hand to hold, no voice to hear. I do not want riches. I do not want songs sung about me. I want a companion to remind me that war was not the only thing I gave my life to." The hall grew quiet again. His words were simple, but they carried power. Some in the chamber felt a strange respect. Others felt suspicion. One alien whispered to another, "Why an alien woman? Why not a human?" Another hissed back, "Perhaps he wants to bind one race closer to his kind. Perhaps it is politics in disguise." The council called for a private discussion. The commander waited outside as doors closed behind him. Inside, arguments broke out. "This request is dangerous," said one reptilian voice. "If we send a woman from one clan, the other clans will see it as favoritism. He may use her for information," another warned. But one council member spoke firmly. "He has given everything. He asked for no reward before this. Can we truly refuse him now?" The debate stretched for hours. Finally, they reached an answer. They would give him what he asked, but with their own twist. When the commander was called back in, the council leader spoke. "Your request is granted. You will not be forgotten, Commander. A companion will be sent to you." The human gave a nod. He did not show relief, but in his heart he carried memories that no one else knew. On one battlefield long ago, an alien soldier had fallen beside him. With blood on his lips, that soldier had whispered, "Do not let our bond die with me." The commander had promised silently that he would honor those words one day. That was why he asked for an alien woman. Not for desire, not for power, but for a promise. The council did not know this. To them, his request looked strange, even suspicious. And so, they prepared their own plan. Instead of sending one companion, they would send him two. But these two women would not be friends. They would come from rival clans, enemies for centuries. The council wanted to see what would happen. Would the old commander lose control? Would the rivals fight until his retirement became chaos? Or would the humans somehow do the impossible again? Turn enemies into allies? As he left the chamber, the commander walked under the cold lights of the city. His figure looked strong, but his heart was tired. He thought he would soon meet one companion who might bring peace to his final days. He looked up at the stars and whispered, "Soon, old friend. Soon. I will keep my promise." But far behind him, in secret rooms, two names were already chosen. Two alien women, carrying old hatred in their blood, were being prepared for the journey. The council's experiment was about to begin, and the commander had no idea that by asking for peace, he had invited the storm. The commander's home was quiet, far from the noise of battlefields and council halls. It was built on a lonely hill under the wide stars. He had chosen this place for peace, to spend his last years away from the sound of war drums. The air was thin, clean, and silent. Yet his heart was restless. Soon, the council would send his gift, his companion. He had prepared his home carefully, one extra seat at the table, one room for the guest. He imagined meeting a single alien woman, someone who could share quiet evenings with him. But when the transport ship landed outside his home, the air shifted with something strange. The ramp lowered slowly, steam rising around the figures who stepped out. The commander's eyes narrowed. Not one, but two women appeared. Both were tall, graceful, and striking in very different ways. One had silver-blue skin that shimmered under the light, her eyes glowing like cold moons. She carried herself with sharp pride, every step deliberate, every look filled with authority. The other had dark green markings across her face, her eyes like burning embers. She moved with silent power, as if every muscle was ready for combat. The commander frowned. "Two," he muttered under his breath. The council's envoy walked forward. His voice was polite, but his eyes betrayed amusement. "The council has honored your request, in a special way. Not one, but two companions. A greater gift than you imagined." The commander studied the two women. He could feel the tension between them even before they spoke. Their eyes locked for a brief moment, and the air grew heavier, as if a storm was waiting. The silver-blue woman spoke first, her tone cold but elegant. "I am here because my people trust me to represent them. Do not mistake me for a servant. I will not bow, not even to a human legend." The green-marked woman gave a sharp laugh. "Representative? Do not pretend, rival. You are here because your clan fears mine. They sent you to spy, not to serve." The commander's eyes moved between them. Already he could see what the council had done. They had not honored his request. They had turned it into a test, maybe even a trap. He knew these two clans, ancient enemies who fought for centuries. By sending both women, the council wanted to see if he could control them, or if their hatred would destroy his peace. "Enough," the commander said, his voice strong. "This is my home. You are both welcome here, but you will not bring your old wars inside these walls." The silver-blue woman crossed her arms but said nothing. The green-marked woman gave a slow smirk, but she too remained silent. For now. Inside the house, the tension only grew. The commander showed them their rooms, both across the hall from each other. As soon as he turned his back, they exchanged glares sharp enough to cut steel. At the dinner table, the silence was heavy. Each woman watched the other, not the food, not even the man they were sent to accompany. The commander ate calmly, though he felt their eyes like knives in the air. He had lived through ambushes, betrayals, and endless battles. He could sense when danger was close, and tonight danger was sitting across his table. Later, when night covered the hill, he stood outside under the stars. His hand rested on the railing as his mind turned back to that old battlefield promise. One companion he had asked for, to remind him of the bond he once shared with a dying friend. Instead, the council had given him two enemies. Behind him, the door opened softly. It was the silver-blue woman. She stepped into the starlight and spoke in a low voice. "Do not trust her. She will destroy you if you let her stay." The commander turned, his face calm. "You speak of her, but I see the same fire in your eyes." Before she could answer, another shadow appeared. The green-marked woman stood in the doorway, her arms crossed. "He should not trust you either. I know your people. Lies are in your blood." The air between them turned sharp again. The commander raised his voice. "Both of you listen. I asked for peace, not war. If you cannot live under the same roof, then you will answer to me. Do not test me. I may be old, but I am not weak." His words cut through the silence like steel. Both women stared at him, studying the man who dared to command them. For a moment, neither spoke. Then, almost at the same time, they turned away, still burning with quiet rage. That night, the commander sat alone in his room. The council had tricked him, of that he was certain. But why? Was it only to test him? Or was there a larger plan at work? As the house grew quiet, he thought he heard footsteps outside his door. Not one pair, two. Slow, careful, watching. He did not know if they were protecting him, or waiting for him to fall asleep. The stars above shone cold and silent, and the commander realized something chilling. This was not a gift. This was the beginning of another war, one that had just stepped into his home. The days passed slowly in the commander's house, but the air inside never became calm. From the outside, it looked peaceful, a quiet hill under the wide stars, with a single home standing strong. But inside, every look, every word, every silence carried hidden fire. The two alien women never spoke kindly to each other. Their rivalry was like a shadow that followed them into every room. The silver-blue woman, proud and elegant, always carried herself like royalty. She often stayed near the commander, asking questions about human history, battles, and politics. The green-marked woman, sharp and restless, preferred to move silently around the house, her eyes always scanning the walls, windows, and doors as if she expected an attack. The commander noticed everything. He was a soldier who had lived through ambushes and betrayals. He could feel that both women had come with more than the council's promise. Each of them was hiding something. One evening, he found the silver-blue woman sitting by the fire, writing symbols on a thin glass slate. When she noticed his eyes on her, she quickly covered it. "Just a message for my people," she said smoothly, but her voice was too calm, too rehearsed. The next morning, he caught the green-marked woman outside, pressing a small device against the soil near the fence. When he stepped closer, she pushed it into her pocket. "It's only a sensor," she explained, but her eyes glowed with something secret. The commander said nothing. He only gave a slow nod. But inside, his thoughts were turning. Why had the council sent not one but two women? What were these secret tasks? Were they watching him, or watching each other? That night he could not sleep. From his room he heard movement in the halls. Soft steps, one after another. Then whispers. He rose silently and moved through the shadows. From the crack of a door, he saw them, both women, standing face to face in the dark. Their voices were sharp, though they kept them low. "You stay away from him," the silver-blue woman hissed. "He belongs under my people's influence." The green-marked woman's lips curled into a smile. "Influence? Don't pretend. You're here to spy just as I am. But only one of us will succeed." The commander's chest tightened. Now it was clear. The council had not given him a gift. They had sent spies. Each woman carried orders from her clan to report, to watch, maybe even to use him. He stepped back before they could notice him, his mind heavy. He had wanted peace, a companion to keep his promise alive. Instead, he had received two rivals carrying hidden knives in their hearts. The next morning, he tested them. At breakfast, he spoke calmly, as if nothing had happened. "Tell me," he asked the silver-blue woman, "what do your people hope for in the next years?" She answered quickly, her words rehearsed like a speech. "We want unity, of course. We want peace." Then he turned to the green-marked woman. "And your people?" She gave a short laugh. "Peace? My clan survives through strength. Unity comes only when the weak bow." The commander nodded. His suspicions were confirmed. They were not here to honor him. They were here to prove something for their clans. Later that day, while walking through the hills, the commander remembered his old battlefield promise again. That dying alien soldier had not cared about clans or politics or spying. He had only wanted the bond between species to live on. The commander felt the weight of that promise more strongly now. Perhaps this was why fate had given him not one, but two companions. Maybe this was another war he was meant to fight. Not with weapons, but with trust, patience, and will. But even as he thought this, danger grew closer. Strange signals began to appear on his house's security screens. Coded messages from outside. The devices the women had hidden were not just sensors or slates. They were receiving information from somewhere. Someone was watching. One night, the commander confronted them both. He stood in the center of the hall, his voice like thunder. "You think I do not know? You both carry secret orders. You both hide your true reasons for being here. But listen to me carefully. This is my home. You may watch me, you may spy on each other, but you will not destroy the peace of these walls. If you try, you will answer to me. The silver-blue woman's eyes narrowed, but she did not argue. The green-marked woman smirked, but she also stayed silent. For the first time, both looked at him with something more than suspicion. There was a flicker of respect or maybe fear. The commander walked away, but inside his mind, the storm grew stronger. He was caught between two rivals, each with hidden agendas, each ready to strike when the chance came. And beyond them, unseen hands in the council were moving pieces of a larger game. Under the night sky, the commander whispered again to the stars. So this is the path I must walk. Not peace. Not yet. Another test. Another war. And as the cold wind moved across the hill, he knew this war would not be fought with guns or ships. It would be fought with secrets, trust, and the fragile line between loyalty and betrayal. The days in the commander's house grew heavier. What was supposed to be peace after a lifetime of battles had turned into another silent war. He could feel it every time the two alien women crossed paths. Their eyes met like blades. Their silence burned louder than words. But the commander was no fool. He had lived too long in war to let chaos control him. He had a plan of his own, though no one knew it yet. Late one night, he sat alone by the fire, the light flickering across his face. His hands were scarred, his body weary, but his mind was sharp. Memories returned. Memories of a battlefield years ago, where smoke darkened the sky and soldiers from many species fell side by side. He remembered an alien soldier with golden eyes, a warrior from a clan that had once been his enemy. That soldier had fought beside him until the very end. When the soldier lay dying, he had gripped the commander's hand and whispered, "Do not let our bond die with me. Promise me, human, promise me our fight will mean something more than war." The commander had promised. He had carried that weight through every battle that followed. And when his service was over, he made his strange request to the council, not out of desire, but out of loyalty to that promise. He wanted one alien companion, someone to remind him that friendship across species was possible, even in the shadow of bloodshed. But the council had twisted his wish. They had sent him not one, but two, both from clans that hated each other. He understood now it was a test, a cruel game. They wanted to see if he could make enemies sit under one roof. Maybe they wanted to watch him fail. The commander leaned back in his chair, his eyes reflecting the firelight. If this is their game, then I will not play blindly. I will make my own rules. The next morning, he began his plan. He did not confront them directly. Instead, he gave them small tasks. He asked the silver-blue woman to help him organize records of old battles, and he asked the green-marked woman to patrol the borders of his land. Both tasks looked simple, but each carried a hidden lesson. The silver-blue woman spent hours reading human history, writing notes, and asking sharp questions. Slowly, she began to see that the commander was not a man who fought only for victory, but for unity. She never admitted it, but she was impressed. The green-marked woman, while patrolling, noticed things she had ignored before. The hill was quiet, yes, but it was not unprotected. The commander had built hidden defenses, sensors under the soil, shields in the walls, silent drones circling the sky. He was not a weak old man. Even in retirement, he had the mind of a soldier. In the evenings, the commander spoke little, but his words were chosen carefully. He told them stories of battles where humans had fought side by side with alien clans, not as masters, not as enemies, but as equals. He did not speak of victories or defeats. He spoke of loyalty, sacrifice, and the bonds that survived even when the war ended. At first, both women listened with cold faces. But deep inside, his words unsettled them. They were taught from childhood that humans were dangerous, selfish, and power-hungry. Yet here was one of the most feared commanders in history, speaking not of conquest but of honor. Still, their hidden missions did not disappear. At night, each woman sent secret signals to her people, reporting what she saw. The commander knew this. He allowed it. He wanted them to think they were still in control, while he slowly guided them toward something they did not expect. One evening, as the sun sank behind the hills, the commander sat with them at the table. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. You both think you know why you are here, but you do not. I did not ask for wealth or land or power. I asked for one companion because I wanted peace. And yet the council gave me two. Do you know why? The silver-blue woman raised an eyebrow. Because they wanted to test you. The green-marked woman smirked. Or to watch you fail. The commander gave a thin smile. Both are true. But what they did not expect is that I know the game. And if I know the game, I can change how it ends. The women stared at him, caught off guard by his bluntness. For the first time, they saw not just an old soldier, but a strategist, a man who had led armies and survived traps far deadlier than this one. That night, after they had gone to their rooms, the commander stood under the stars once more. His plan was risky, but it was clear. He would not fight them. He would not try to break their rivalry with force. Instead, he would draw out their hidden strengths, force them to see what he had seen long ago, that enemies could become allies. But even as his plan began to take shape, danger was moving closer. Strange signals were growing stronger outside the hill. Someone else was watching, waiting for the right moment to strike. The commander lifted his eyes to the night sky, the same way he had done on countless battlefields. If this is my last war, he whispered, then I will win it not with guns, but with trust. And deep inside, a storm of secrets was gathering, ready to test his plan in ways he had not yet imagined. The commander's house had become a battlefield without weapons. Every word spoken at the table, every step in the hall, every glance between the two alien women carried silent sparks. The commander's plan was working slowly. He had given them tasks, told them stories, forced them to think. But the tension was too strong. He knew it was only a matter of time before the fire broke out. That time came one stormy evening. The rain pounded against the roof, and the wind howled outside. Inside the house, the air was heavy with silence. The silver-blue woman sat near the fire, her posture straight, her eyes glowing cold. Across the room, the green-marked woman sharpened a blade, its edge flashing in the light. The sound of steel against stone filled the air, sharp and endless. The commander sat in his chair, watching them. He could feel the storm inside the house growing louder than the one outside. Finally, the silver-blue woman spoke, her voice cutting like ice. You think this place belongs to you. You walk around like a guard dog watching every shadow. But this is not your world. It is his. You are only here to destroy it. The green-marked woman lifted her head slowly. Her smile was sharp. And you? You sit like a queen beside the fire, acting noble, pretending your people care about peace. But we both know your clan sent you to spy. Don't act righteous with me. The blade in her hand gleamed as she set it down on the table. Her eyes locked onto the silver-blue woman. Say one more word, and you'll see how quickly I can end this little game. The silver-blue woman rose to her feet, her glow brightening, her voice sharp. Do you think I fear you? Your people live like predators. You mistake cruelty for strength. I will not bow to it. The commander stood at once, his voice like thunder. Enough! But the storm had already broken. The two women moved toward each other, their steps heavy, their hands ready. One raised her glowing energy, the other gripped her blade tight. The room filled with the heat of hatred centuries old. And then, before the commander could stop them, the walls shook. A loud blast thundered outside. The lights flickered. The ground trembled. The women froze, their anger turning to shock. The commander's eyes narrowed. He had seen this before, the sound of an attack. He rushed to the control screen on the wall. Strange red signals blinked across the map of his land. Unknown forces were moving around the hill. His suspicion was confirmed. Someone had been watching them, waiting for the right moment. The commander turned sharply. Both of you, this is no longer about your clans. We are under attack. If you want to live, you will fight beside me. For a moment they hesitated. Their eyes still burned with rivalry. But the sound of another explosion shook the house, and dust fell from the ceiling. Outside, shadows moved in the storm. Soldiers dressed in dark armor, carrying weapons that glowed red. The green-marked woman cursed under her breath. Assassins! The silver-blue woman clenched her fists. Sent by the council, or by those who fear him. The commander grabbed his old rifle from the wall. His hands were steady, his eyes cold. I told you. In this house, there will be no war between you. Now pick your side. The enemy is out there, not in here. For the first time, both women looked at him with unity in their eyes. The fire of hatred shifted into the fire of survival. Without another word, they moved, one to the window, the other to the door. The storm outside roared louder. The first wave of assassins charged up the hill, their weapons flashing in the rain. The commander fired his rifle, the blast echoing into the night. The silver-blue woman raised a shield of glowing energy, blocking the enemy fire. The green-marked woman leapt forward, her blade slicing through the rain as she cut down the first intruders. The house that once held silence now rang with the sounds of battle. Sparks, gunfire, and screams mixed with thunder. Inside, the commander fought like the warrior he had always been, steady and unshaken. The women fought too, their rivalry forgotten in the face of survival. Yet even as they defended the hill together, the commander knew this was only the beginning. Whoever had sent these assassins wanted more than his death. They wanted to test how far humans could go, even in retirement. Between gunfire, the commander shouted over the storm. Remember this moment. You are not enemies now. You fight together, or you die together. The silver-blue woman threw a blast of energy that sent 3 soldiers crashing back. The green-marked woman struck down another with her blade, then shouted, We can argue later. For now, we bleed side by side. And as the night burned with chaos, the commander realized something strange. The council's cruel plan, their hidden trap, might have opened a door they had never expected. Because for the first time, the 2 women fought not against each other, but as allies. The storm outside was fierce, but the storm inside had found its release. And this was only the beginning of a greater war. The storm outside raged like a wild beast, but the true storm was inside the commander's hilltop home. Gunfire flashed through the rain, blades clashed against armor, and shouts echoed into the night. What began as a quiet retirement had turned into a battlefield once again. The commander moved with the calm of an old warrior. Every shot from his rifle found its mark, every step was firm, every command clear. He had fought wars across galaxies, and now, even in his last years, the battlefield answered to him. But what surprised him most was not the attack. It was the women. The silver-blue woman, proud and elegant, stood at his side, raising glowing shields to block enemy fire. The green-marked woman, fierce and fast, cut through assassins like a storm, her blade flashing in the darkness. For the first time since their arrival, they were not rivals. They were soldiers fighting as one. The commander shouted over the chaos, "Hold the line! Push them back from the hill." And they did. Side by side, an enemy soldier rushed the door, but the silver-blue woman's shield slammed into him, throwing him into the mud. Another tried to flank them, only to be cut down by the green-marked woman's blade. Their movements were different, one defensive, one offensive, but together they formed a wall that no enemy could break. For a moment, the commander almost smiled. This was what he had hoped for. Enemies forced to see each other not as rivals, but as allies. But the night was not done testing them. As the assassins fell, more appeared. Dark ships hovered above the hill, dropping wave after wave of soldiers. The commander realized this was no small raid. This was an organized strike. Whoever had sent them wanted not just his death, but something bigger. He turned to the women. This is not random. Someone planned this to test us, or to end us. The silver-blue woman's voice was sharp but steady. Then we give them a test they will never forget. The green-marked woman smirked, her blade dripping rain and blood. Finally, something we agree on. The commander gave a single nod. Then follow my lead. They moved as a unit. The commander barked orders like he had on battlefields long ago, and the women followed without question. Shields rose, blades struck, rifles fired. For the first time, the house was not divided, it was one army. But unity came at a cost. As the battle grew harsher, the assassins brought heavier weapons. Explosives shook the walls. Fire spread across the yard. The commander's defenses held, but only just. In one blast, the silver-blue woman was thrown to the ground, her shield shattering. The commander rushed to pull her up, but an enemy aimed at his back. Before the shot could fire, the green-marked woman leapt in front of him. Her blade struck the enemy down, but not before a blast scorched across her side. She fell to one knee, her face twisting with pain. The commander's eyes hardened. "Stay with me, both of you." The silver-blue woman struggled to her feet, her glow dim but steady. She extended her shield again, protecting them. The green-marked woman rose slowly, blood marking her armor, but her grip on her blade was unshaken. For the first time, the commander saw something in their eyes that had never been there before. Not hatred, not rivalry, but trust. The battle stretched into the night. Together they pushed the assassins back, step by step, until the hill was covered in fallen soldiers. Finally, as the last wave retreated into the storm, silence returned. The only sounds were the rain on the roof and the heavy breaths of the three who stood in the ruins of the home. The commander lowered his rifle. His body ached, his scars burned, but his spirit was steady. He looked at the two women, bloodied, bruised, but standing. "You see," he said quietly, "this is what I asked for. Not war, not rivalry, a bond." The silver-blue woman's gaze softened. "I thought you were only a human chasing strange desires. But now, I see what you meant." The green-marked woman gave a tired laugh. "And I thought you were a fool who wanted peace where none could exist. Maybe I was wrong." The commander placed his rifle against the wall and stood tall. "This is only the beginning. Whoever sent those assassins will not stop. They wanted to test us. We gave them an answer. Now they will come harder, stronger. But if you stay with me, if you stand together, they will never break us." The women looked at each other. For the first time since they had arrived, their eyes did not hold fire. Instead, they held a quiet agreement. The battle had forced them to see each other's strength. The storm outside began to fade, leaving the hill in silence once more. But the commander knew peace would not last. The council's game was bigger than this night. They had started something dangerous. As dawn broke, the commander whispered to himself, "If this is my final war, I will not fight it alone." And for the first time since his retirement began, he believed it. The storm had passed, but the hilltop home was no longer the same. The walls were scorched, the yard was covered with the remains of battle, and the air still smelled of fire and smoke. Yet, inside the ruined house, three figures still stood, wounded, tired, but alive. The commander set his rifle down slowly. His body felt heavier than ever, but his spirit carried a strange calm. He had faced death countless times in war, but tonight was different. Tonight, he had not just fought an enemy. He had witnessed enemies fight for each other. The silver-blue woman stood with her shield arm trembling, her glow dim but steady. She looked at the green-marked woman, whose side still bled from the blast but whose eyes were sharp as ever. For the first time, their gazes met without fire. There was no mockery, no threat, no hatred, only understanding. The commander spoke quietly, his voice carrying more weight than any battle cry. "I asked for one companion to remind me that war is not the only path. But fate gave me two. And together, you have shown me something greater." The silver-blue woman lowered her head slightly, a gesture that was almost respect. "I did not come here to follow you. I came because my people sent me. But now, I see why the council feared you. Not because of your weapons, because you can make enemies fight together." The green-marked woman gave a low laugh, tired but real. "I spent my whole life taught to hate her kind. I thought nothing could change that. But when I saw her shield me from fire, I realized hatred is weaker than survival." She looked at the commander and added, "Maybe weaker than trust." The commander studied them both. He had lived long enough to know trust was fragile, easily broken. But tonight it had been born from blood and fire. That kind of bond did not vanish easily. He stepped outside, the two women following him. The night was fading, and the first light of dawn touched the horizon. The hill was quiet now, but he knew silence would not last. Whoever sent the assassins would come again, and the council, with their cruel test, would be watching. The commander turned to them. Listen carefully. What happened tonight was only the beginning. More will come. The council wanted to see me fail. Instead, we showed them something stronger. Now they will fear it. They will try harder to break it. The silver-blue woman lifted her chin. Let them try. The green-marked woman smirked. They will not find us easy prey. The commander gave a small smile. For the first time in years, he did not feel alone. Days turned into weeks. The house was repaired, stronger than before. The commander worked with his own hands, but he was not alone. The silver-blue woman used her energy to shape walls and shields. The green-marked woman strengthened defenses with hidden traps and weapons. What once was a house became a fortress, not of stone alone, but of unity. They still argued, of course. The two women would never be friends in the way humans imagined. Their words were sharp, their pride strong. But behind every argument was a strange bond born in battle. And slowly, without admitting it, they began to trust not only the commander but each other. One evening, as the sun set red across the hills, the commander sat between them. His voice was quiet, but steady. I made a promise long ago, to a dying soldier who asked me not to let our bond die with him. Tonight, I know that promise lives. Not in one companion, but in two. Not in words, but in actions. The silver-blue woman turned her gaze to the horizon. Perhaps peace can grow even in places where war once ruled. The green-marked woman nodded slowly. Perhaps enemies can become more than enemies. The commander leaned back, his eyes on the stars. For the first time in many years, the stars did not look cold. They looked alive. He felt that maybe his final years would not be years of silence, but of something new, something greater than he had imagined. Far above, hidden in the dark, ships moved silently. The council was watching, recording, measuring. Some feared what they saw. Others were curious. A few even wondered if they had created something beyond their control. The commander did not care. He had faced councils, wars, and betrayals before. He would face them again if needed. But now he had what he asked for, not in the way he imagined, but in the way fate decided. As the night returned and the stars spread wide, the commander whispered, "This is not the end. This is a new beginning." The two women, standing on either side of him, did not speak, but their silence carried agreement. Somewhere deep inside the galaxy, powerful voices plotted their next move. Armies were being prepared, new schemes were forming. The real storm had not even begun. But on that hill, three figures stood together. Once strangers, once enemies, now bound by blood, trust, and fate. And for the first time, the old commander believed that his retirement gift was not a trick, not a test. It was destiny.